Hi, welcome back to my channel. It's Jacinta here, and I'm here with one of my good friends, Taylor Petrowski.
Yes, my long, crazy, freaking Polish name.
Yes, there's tons of consonants crammed up in there, and that's the life that you lead.
Pretty much, but
Yeah.
it's not as exciting as famous YouTuber Jacinta Florence. So we both go to school together at the Augustine Institute, and basically every time I see Jacinta, I'll be like, either it's her or like anyone else around. So I'm like, it's that famous YouTuber Jacinta Florence, and then she's like, just gives like her very Jacinta like nice laugh. So you don't get awkward
loud laugh.
Yeah,
it's very loud.
it's wonderful
and very distinct. But we're not here to talk about my laugh. We're here to talk about Taylor and
so special.
You should feel special. We're actually here to talk about Taylor's job because he works at a restaurant and bar as a barback. And we're going to talk about how to witness in the workplace without being weird, which is kind of hard for you.
Oh, you're not wrong. Yeah, so for me, I moved out from Michigan before, so I was working some church jobs in the past. So I was working as a campus minister in Flint, Michigan. So I was working with college students, and also in Flint, we have very delicious water there. It's just the best water. So I was there for a couple years. I'd worked in a church before that as well, and had some weird jobs as a wedding DJ, but moved out here, and I actually felt the Lord calling me to just work a normal job out in the world when I was going through grad school.
Yeah.
And I just work as a server, back server, bar back. When I'm like, back server basically means it's a glorified busser, so that's what they call it, nice fancy restaurants like mine. And I actually really use it as an opportunity to love and serve those that I work with. I see it as serving the servers, and then so that I can love them and therefore like witness like to them.
That's awesome. So like whenever you first started and like you've been there like a year now?
Yeah,
or a little over a year?
Yep.
Okay. So do the people that you work with know that you're Catholic?
I would say probably like at least half. And we've had new people come in and come out.
I'm sure. The business is probably transient.
Yeah, but it's like I don't try to weirdly bring it up, but it's like it'll just come up in conversation.
Sure.
Where it's like, why did you move out here in Michigan? I'll be like, I worked for a Catholic church before. Moved out here to study leadership for the New Evangelization, which I'm like, it's kind of like an applied theology degree.
Do you say leadership or do you say theology?
We're not in theology.
Right, but sometimes I'll say theology because people aren't going to know what leadership or the New Evangelization is.
That's what I say. I'll say it's kind of like a theology year with like practical
applications.
And, exactly. And then it's like you have to do some internships, so it's kind of geared towards like nonprofits and ministry as well. And then people are like, oh, that's really interesting. And it's like, and then they'll maybe ask like, why do you want to do that? Blah, blah. And that's a way I can kind of enter that in a conversation and steer it. And not just make it only like about me, but just so they know that as a starting ground.
Yeah.
Because I think something that happens, at least at my work, is people have told me before, like, oh, you're such a nice guy, or like nice guys finish last when they like hand me off some dishes.
Which is not what I picture you to be at all.
Which is
you're a very confident, like self-assured person.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's also where it's
because when you think of nice, you think of like pushover.
Yeah, and I'm usually like really really sarcastic, but it's like when I'm there. I'm trying to love them. I'm not trying to be nice out of like self-righteousness or to make myself feel better because I'm like weak. It's no, for me, it's really an act of service and self-sacrifice for them. So that first that I love them, but then that hopefully that love will lead to the love of my life, which is the Lord.
Yeah.
And it's not trying to awkwardly like push for that and force conversations, but it's like you need to start out with that foundation of trust, and through that foundation of trust, I found. Like the first step, I guess I would say to evangelize or witness with those that you work with is just to love them and just to be an awesome employee and to be, just be virtuous, which means like being humble, being generous with your time and with your actions as well as going above and beyond to help other people out and not like be self-righteous or a jerk about it. So.
Right. Yeah. And like a lot of what you said sounds like you are witnessing in the workplace, which is what we're called to do because we've learned from class that from Pope Paul VI, he says that modern man will listen more willingly to witnesses than he does teachers. And if they do listen to teachers, it's because they're first witnesses. And so that's what we're called to do. And I think of people in my own life, like my dad, who's super cool. Whenever I was young, he brought me to a Bring Your Daughter to Work day at the hospital. And I already knew he was like super outgoing, like just from being his daughter. But whenever I saw him at work, I'm like, holy moly, like he's taking this to the next level. Because like he couldn't turn the corner without somebody being like, hey Dave, what's up? And him having like all of these inside jokes with people. And I'm like, whoa, Dad, like people really like you. And I was like, what's your secret? And he's like, you know, before I go to work, I go to the chapel because it was a Catholic hospital, but you're obviously working with tons of people who aren't Catholic.
Yeah.
And he's like, before I go to work, I just go to the chapel and I pray for 5 minutes. Start my day off with Jesus, and that's it. And so I feel like that's really powerful because he actually befriended somebody from his work and brought her around our family, and she ended up having a conversion and becoming Catholic. And I'm like, whoa, that's like what we're called to do based on that witness, you know?
Yeah, I think kind of what you're going to what your dad's talking. I think something I noticed in my like work is it's so easy to just acquiesce and to be like everyone else. I even find myself sometimes where it's like, you know, I have a little bit of potty mouth and other stuff, but it's like where I'll just act like everyone else.
Yeah.
And I find that especially if I'm not in a good spiritual place. So it's like even before you come to work, like you should be praying in your own daily life. And for me, a lot of times, and I need to do this more often, but I try to do this, is when I'm walking into work or I'm almost there, and I'll like pray a quick prayer, like asking the Lord to help me to love these people, to sacrifice for them, and to witness to them, and hopefully to have those conversations,
right,
like, as well. But it is just a struggle, and you know, sometimes I'll catch myself, and I'll even bring it up if I go to confession or something. It's like, yeah, I was just basically like living like anyone else, and that doesn't make me better than them, or I'm just like I'm more awesome or a better person than the people I work with. But the reality is, like, I have a responsibility to like live as a Christian and to witness as Jesus to them. And it's like we can't, as Catholics and Christians, go to work and then live as if God like doesn't exist.
Sure.
Or if Jesus isn't real and he hasn't changed our lives. So we're just like anyone else. So.
Yeah, but I think that you aren't like anybody else. I think that you're just seeing that you're gelling with the people you work with. That's what I think, because, well, you have a girlfriend, right? And I'm sure people ask you about her. And like...
Because she comes to pick me up. She's basically... My car's been dead since like October, so like 4 or 5 months now. And so she's my intern for Uber.
I think she's...
Which just means she drives me back and forth from work a lot, because she's awesome.
Yeah, she's amazing. So they probably ask you about her and other personal questions that go along with that.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're going with that, where it's like, you know, I've actually had like on several occasions, like one of my friends who like is a bartender there, he's like, so are you guys having sex yet? And it's like...
just comes out and says,
it's just like, I'm like, no. And I feel like sometimes I gotta botch the explanation. But even one time I was like, oh, no, why? We don't really have much time to talk about now because we have to do this thing at work. But it's like, I'll bring that. We can come back and I'll, you know, come back with a better answer for you. Or it's like even meeting with people like outside is like building a relationship as well, because it's like I'm not loving this person or friends with them just so that I can evangelize to witness them. But it's like I'm being their friend because with a lot of these people that I become close friends with.
Yeah,
because, you know, you're not going to be close friends with everyone. But it's like if I'm hanging out with them, it's because I just care about them. And I enjoy being around them and I love them. But part of loving someone is like bringing someone into the truth and to know basically the love that's at the center of the universe, which is Jesus. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing good things, kid.
I need to do better. So I suck at it sometimes.
We could all do better. So that's pretty much all the time that we have today. But like, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on, and I'm excited to see what happens with like your YouTube channel, because she's gonna have a YouTube channel. Yeah, so it's gonna be coming out. I'm gonna be working on it throughout Lent. It's gonna be called Cardboard Catholic. Stay tuned. Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be in our little studio here, but it's basically gonna be me making a lot of box jokes, but it's gonna be like intentionally super janky, and just me talking about different stupid skits. It's gonna be wonderful. He's gonna be the Trey Kennedy of Catholic people. Which I have no idea who that is. I'll show you. Yeah, it's fine. Just go with it. Cool. All right. Thank you. Yay!